Pay attention. Pay attention. Why would God want to get your attention? When he says that in Hosea chapter 5 that he's going to make Ephraim like moth, like a moth, and Judah like rottenness. Why does he want to get your attention? Why does he want to tell Israel and Ephraim or representative Israel or Judah? Why does he want to tell them that what you're doing is devastating to you? Why? Why does he want to tell them that? Why does he want to tell them that the way that you're living is going to produce judgment? Why does he want to tell them that? You know, I skipped over this last time. Oppression in verse 11. Oppression is suffering. People are suffering because of this stuff. Okay, this is bad. Okay, but why is he saying it? Why is he trying to get your attention? Okay, think about it. If what you're doing is causing suffering in your life and God is trying to get your attention to change it, what does that mean? It means that he doesn't want you to suffer. Right? If he wanted you to suffer, he wouldn't say anything. It's crazy how people can look at the Word of God and see God as a malicious God. But no, just look at what he's saying. Are you actually reading what he's saying? He's saying stop, because what you're doing is producing suffering, and I don't want you to suffer anymore. I don't want people to be oppressed anymore. I don't want people to endure the wrath of judgment. I don't want your behavior to remove landmarks and be devastating. I don't want your life to be so consumed like a moth and destroyed and disgusting like rottenness. Because you decided to believe in the human precept that what God calls holy is strange and what God calls strange is normal. That philosophy will ruin your life. The implication being God saying, I don't want your life to be ruined. I don't want you to suffer. I don't want you to be miserable. Do you see that? Do you see that in the text here in Hosea chapter 5? I hope you do, because if you see that in Hosea chapter 5, I think you're going to see that all throughout the prophets, and it completely helps me, at least in my study, when I'm reading all of these passages about judgment and doom and gloom. The implication is God saying, I want you to have the opposite of that. And you can have the opposite of that. And it'd be so much better. Better for you. Better for our relationship. Better for your relationship with people. It'll be a full and satisfying life into eternity. And God's saying, that's what I want you to have. Verse 13, if Ephraim saw his sickness and Judah saw his wound, then Ephraim went to Assyria and sent to King Jareb. Yet he cannot cure you, nor heal you of your wound. For I will be like a lion to Ephraim and a young lion to the house of Judah. Even I, will tear them and go away. I will take them away, and no one shall rescue. I will return again to my place, till they acknowledge their offense. Then they will seek my face. In their affliction, they will earnestly seek me. Ball's in your court. We talked about that a while back. So what's happening here? Okay. Let's say you wake up in the morning and you got this terrible cough, and your chest hurts, and you're coughing and you're coughing and you're coughing, and it's painful, and you're lightheaded, and you've broken out in a fever, and you're sweating, and you're losing all the color in your face, and you've got a fever, and it's in the hundreds. Things are getting kind of scary. Why? And you look at yourself and you say, "Wow, I am really sick." Let's make it even worse. You're throwing up. You can't keep water down. You can't eat. You can't drink. What are you going to do? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to go get in your car. You're going to drive down the road to the local lawyer's office. The first building that says attorneys at law. You knock on the door. You're going to go in and say, "I need to talk to a lawyer right now." I say, "Okay, here's your lawyer. You can talk to him." And you go to that lawyer and you say, "Listen, I'm really sick." The lawyer's sitting there and he's listening to you. "I'm really sick. I've got this cough. I'm sweating. I've got a fever. I can't hold in water or food. I'm really worried. I'm really concerned." What's that lawyer going to do? It's an absurd story, but think about it. What's the lawyer going to do? The lawyer's going to say, "What in the world are you doing here? What are you doing here? Why are you here? Why did you come to me? I can't do anything for you. I can't help you. You're wasting your time and you're wasting mine." There is nothing that I can do. And then what he's going to say? He's going to say, "You need to go to a hospital." Why? You look at him and you say, "Why do I need to go to a hospital?" "Because I can't help you. The only place that you can get help is at the hospital. So if you're as sick as you are, why in the world would you go to someplace other than a hospital?" Think about how crazy that sounds. It's insanity. And God is talking about Ephraim, and they're talking about Judah, and they're looking, Ephraim and Judah, Israel and Judah, they're looking at themselves and saying, "Wow, we're sick. Things aren't the way they need to be. We're not at peace. Well, this is not good. These things are not the way they should be." And they're going, "All right, well, I guess we should go to Assyria and get some help." What? Are you crazy? What's Assyria going to do? I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to come in and they're going to conquer your territory. That's what they're going to do. They're going to carry you off into captivity. They're going to torture your people. They're going to kill your women and children. That's what they're going to do. Why are you going to them? It's insanity. They don't have what you need to be made well. So why in the world would you go to them? Why would you seek their help, seek their aid, seek their alliance? Why? There's nothing that they can do for you. Why wouldn't you rather just go to a doctor? Go to the doctor, the great physician, who's able to make you well, who's able to heal you, who's able to cure you. If you're spiritually sick in your life right now, you have sin in your life, mistakes that you've made, Christ is the one that you should go to. No one else can even come close to dealing with the problems that you have, the burdens that you have. Don't go to anyone else. They're just guessing. They don't know what to do. It's like going to a lawyer when you're sick. It's like they didn't go to school to heal people, but a doctor did. So don't go to Buddhism and don't go to, other religions, Islam and other world religions. Don't go to those places, or paganism, whatever. I don't know if that's as popular today as it was among the ancients, but the point is, don't go to other places for answers and solutions. They're not nearly qualified to treat your sickness. Not nearly qualified. They don't know what to do. They can't deal with it. They can't help with it. But God can. And so, don't go to places that can't cure you and that can't heal you of your wounds. They can't fix your problems. They can't shoulder your burdens. They can't help you out of the mess that you have gotten yourself in your life. Don't even waste time with other things. God is the only option, as we've talked about before. He's the only one qualified. He's the only one able. Go to him. Because otherwise, all that's left is just devastation, suffering. When we say devastation, when we're talking about suffering, God gives this image of lions coming in and devouring. Okay, what is a lion? A lion is, let's just whittle it back to the most fundamental thing. It's suffering. It's fear. It's terror. It's death. All of those things. Do you want that in your life? Just be honest with yourself. Do you want to suffer? Of course not. Of course you don't. No, you don't. Death, terror, fear, confusion. Do you want those things? You want to live with those things on a daily basis? And have those things be absorbed in your mind every single minute of every single day? Is that what you want? Of course not. Of course you don't. I'm going to answer that for you because I know you don't. I don't. I think we can all agree with the fundamental problem that we don't want suffering. The world debate is, yeah, but where do you go to end it? God's saying, you can come to me. The source of healing, the source of blessing, the source of life, the source of provision, the source of assurance. God's saying, you can come to me. The hospital is open. The doctor's in. Verse 15 is interesting, isn't it? The doctor's in, but you have to go to where the doctor is. The doctor's not going to come to you. God's saying, I'm going to go back to where I go, which I think is just anthropomorphic language. God's everywhere, but he says, I'm going to separate myself. Well, you've separated yourself, right? I mean, that's what has happened here, but at least in this language, God is saying, you wanted distance. You wanted separation. I will allow it. You wanted to reject me, and in rejecting me, rejected the blessings that I can give. I will allow it. In allowing it, it's going to produce a lot of suffering and you're going to experience times of much hardship. God say, I'm telling you right now, you don't want that. You think you do, but you don't. But I will allow it, God's saying. And when you get to that point that you cannot take it anymore, you'll stop looking for options. And you'll recognize that there's only one option. Get me out of this suffering, please. I can't take it anymore. The stumbling, the pain, the suffering. Life is miserable. God said, I didn't want you to have that miserable life to begin with. When you can't take it anymore, God says, I'll be right here. Let's not think for a moment that God is distancing himself to a degree that he cannot be reached. You remember what Paul says on Mars Hill? He says, God's not far from each one of us, that we can't grope for him and find him. He's not at a place where he's not accessible. He's always accessible. But we have to seek him. If we seek him, we will find him, but we have to seek him. You know, last time I think, or maybe it was the time before, we talked about arrogance. We started with arrogance, but we didn't really finalize that thought. And the reason is because I wanted to talk about all this and then pick it back up. Arrogance, pride. It's the arrogance and pride that you have that tells you that you can do this on your own. You'll figure it out. You'll get through it. You'll clench your teeth and you'll bear it. Even if it's the hardest option, at least it's your option. At least you got to make it. How stubborn is that? How arrogant is that? There was a congregation that had a family that would come, and it was just a man and a woman, and they were hoarders, I guess. And so their house was, by the way, I'm telling a story of a specific instance, but I think that there are many stories just like this. Their house was not clean. It was very dirty, and it stank. And there were roaches, cockroaches, bugs. It was just out of control. They couldn't clean it. They were obese. They could not get up and around to clean the house. They couldn't clean themselves. They couldn't get to a shower, and if they did, they couldn't clean the stinky parts. I hate to say it that way, but it's just they were in a position in their life that they were basically crippled. But they still came to church. But when they came to church, they stank. Smelled like pee and poop, and cockroaches would crawl out of the lady's purse, and it was a health hazard. And the elders went to him and said, "We want to help you. Let us help you." I said, "We don't want your help. Let us come and we'll help clean your house. We don't want you to clean our house. We want to get you things that will help you to clean yourself. No, we don't want you to help us clean ourselves. They would much rather live in their filth than ever receive help from anybody. And there are people in this world all around us that are making the same choice to live and wallow in their filth purely because they cannot let their ego, their pride, their arrogance, they cannot put that aside. Asking for help is not an option. Much less asking for help from God. God says, I want to help you. God says, I want to save you. God says, I want to heal you. I want to heal your wounds. I want to cure your sickness. I want to forgive you. I want to take all of your burdens and I want to lift them from your shoulders. I want to make your life better. I want to clean you. I want to take you from misery to peace and comfort, spiritual comfort. I want you to have a full and satisfying and fulfilling life, spiritually speaking. And there's people all over the world that would just much rather wallow in their filth. What about you? Would you much rather wallow in your filth than ever have to go through the doors of that church building? You'd much rather wallow in your filth, much less have to ever see a certain individual across from the auditorium. You'd much rather wallow in your filth than ever have to forgive that person for doing something. You'd much rather wallow in your filth than ever have to admit that you made a mistake. I can't tell you how many times I've talked or been with someone that you get to the end of the conversation and you understand this person would much rather wallow in their filth. It's a shame. It's sad. It's tragic. Because God is the physician. He's the doctor. He can heal you. He can make it all right. He can give you a full and satisfying life. But people just would rather wallow in there. Here is the message. Stop wallowing in your filth. It's not worth it. Put your pride to the side. Put your arrogance to the side. Like the Israelites, they weren't doing that. They weren't putting their pride to the side and their arrogance. Their pride was testifying against them. No, but put that to the side. Put your ego to the side and say, no, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've hoarded my sin up and I'm wallowing in my filth, but I'm ready to get out of it. I'm ready to get clean. I'm ready to get my house clean. I'm ready to get my body clean. I'm ready to get my spirit clean. I'm ready to be pure. And if I've got to admit that I'm not a perfect person to get there, I'm going to do that. Because being with God is more important than being right. Because I'm not right. And saying that I'm right over and over again does not justify me. But God can. Through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ and the blood of Jesus Christ, your sins can be removed, your filth can be removed, and then it's just a matter of getting God into your life and purifying and cleansing every aspect of your life, and your life will just be better. You'll have hope, you have peace, you have joy, You'll have thanksgiving. You'll have gladness. And if all the Christians in the world do that, then you have community, family. You have God.